Hello, fellow property investors. Ian Marsh here, Winning Edge Real Estate. Today I want to talk about two important topics. One is a four-letter word which is very hazardous to your wealth. And two is my simple property selection process, or a small part of it, that if you follow it could help you make sure that you don't end up with that dreaded lemon. Okay, now, before I go any further, I need to say to you, I am not a financial planner. I don't have any fancy letters after my name. So in all rights, you should ignore everything that I tell you. I do have a multi-million dollar property portfolio of my own. I've built 5 multi-million dollar companies. And I did run a very successful business school for many years. So take from that what you will. But what I do want to share are my thoughts on one of the most devastating things that I've seen, both when I ran the business school and also when I see people when it comes to weighing up whether they should invest in property. So stay tuned. Hopefully you're going to learn something. All right, so what I want to talk about is this four-letter word. And that four-letter word starts with F, and it's called fear. Okay, now fear is probably the most hazardous thing to your wealth creation. Why? Because it prevents many people from making solid decisions. And here's the real kicker, and most people don't realize this, you're not so much scared of if you make a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. What most people are fearful of is what all of their friends and family are going to think of them and what they're going to say about them if they do a boo-boo. And my advice to you, after many, many years of expensive experience, is who gives a toss, okay? You need to do your own due diligence, come to your own decisions and have faith in those decisions. But here's something, when it comes to the property market, that may reduce the fear factor for you. Newsflash, everyone, I want to interrupt this very important education with a message, and that message is very important. Whenever you are going to make an important decision, it doesn't matter whether it's accounting, business, properties, shares, only listen to people that are at least 5 times more successful than you in that particular area. Okay, so what I mean by that is too often I've found people that give free advice give you advice that's worth the amount you paid for it, which is nothing. You see, for you to be able to help someone, you need to have been able to achieve it yourself. And so I strongly urge you to listen to people that are experts. Now, I'm about to show you a small part of my property selection process. But I didn't come up with this on my own. In fact, there's a gentleman that helped me dramatically. His name is Conrad Bobliak. There we go, not an easy name. He made this book, Real Estate Investing Made Simple. I would urge you, number one, if you can, reach out to Conrad because he's one smart dude, or two, buy this book, okay, because this will put you so far ahead of the competition, it's not funny, so that you don't go making stupid mistakes. But look, I just want you to understand, please, before you make decisions, make sure that you're not getting swayed by people that do not have the knowledge to be able to guide you correctly. And with that, let's get back to our presentation. So if you have a look at this graph here, which way does this graph point? If you go back here, this is the growth of property over the last 30 years. And you'll see back in 92, a property, they were all similar, around about $100,000, and you could get a nice roof over your head 30 years ago. Now, in July 22, this is the average of all the capital cities. You're looking at $928,000 for a house and $636,000 for a unit. Now, today it's even higher because we're in 2024, and I don't have statistics on a nice pretty graph to show you that. But what I do want to reinforce is I have learned, okay, after building many companies of my own and helping thousands of others do the same, property is probably one of the best ways to grow your wealth without stuffing it up, okay? And again, the reason I say that is which way over the long term does this graph point? Well, it goes up. So there's a very good chance that even if you didn't buy the very best property on the planet, time is a very forgiving friend. And over time, you'll probably do okay. However, what I'm going to show you next may increase your odds dramatically so you don't end up with that dreaded lemon. Keep watching. So I've got a fairly comprehensive process that I use before I even recommend a property to prospective clients. But in addition, obviously, this is the process I use myself before I choose a property to invest in. Now, I'll keep it simple. These are only 6 of the criteria that I consider out of around about 30 that I look at. But if you follow even just these 6, then you're going to be definitely putting the odds in your favor. The first criteria that I look at is the long-term capital gain of a suburb. Don't be so concerned about the last 1 or 2 years. Like, oh, wow, we had 18% capital growth. Isn't that fantastic? Look at the long-term capital gain, because that'll tell you a better picture of what the future may hold. And as a baseline, I would suggest maybe 5.5% long-term capital gain would be a good start for you to consider before going to the next criteria. Okay. Now, that next criteria is the average household income, because the higher the household income, generally speaking, you're going to be able to rely on rentals a lot better. You're going to get probably a better yield on your apartment and probably not so many dramas. Okay, so you can find out the income of a suburb by just going to microburbs.com.au and check that out for yourself. The third criteria is look at the supply-demand ratio. Just like in any business, you will see that if there's a lot of people wanting to buy something, prices are going to go up. If those customers disappear, prices go down. That's the universal law of success, supply and demand. So if you go and have a look at the suburb and see there's a lot more buyers than sellers, chances are you know that property's price is going to keep appreciating. Okay, so it's another thing just to weigh in on as you're making this decision. Now, another very, very important criteria to consider is the walk score. Now, many of you may not know what this is, but basically this will tell you how easy it is to get around that suburb. Now, I'll show you one of my favorite suburbs at the moment. I didn't put it in here. Oh, wait a second. I did, and I'm getting ahead of myself here, ladies and gentlemen. I made a separate scene. So, as they say in the movies, switch to scene 8. And here you will see a walk score. So if you type your suburb in, and I'll put Spring Hill, which is one of my favorite suburbs to recommend to clients to consider, you'll see the walk score here is 96. Okay, now the top score is 100. So basically, this is one of the bestest suburbs you could possibly think about to get around. It's got hospitals, cafes, entertainment, the CBD, you name it. And also the transit score is 100. It's so easy to get to the train, the buses, all these types of things. So obviously, when you're considering an apartment, okay, you want to take these things into consideration because these are what people think about before they purchase. Now, I should add to that, have a look at, are there good schools around the area as well? That's very important. Okay, back to my amazing PowerPoint. I hope you're enjoying this. Is this making sense, ladies and gentlemen? So the next criteria that I want you to think about is, you've got to go back to this one. And I've got to go back to this one. So I like to invest in areas within about 15 kilometres of a major CBD or a major hub, so to speak. So Surfers Paradise, a 15 kilometre radius of that perhaps. You've got the Brisbane CBD, within a 15 kilometre radius of that is where I sort of like to invest in. Now, if you have a look at this chart here, I'll move my handsome face here so you can see it more better up. Okay, so this is Brisbane, okay, and this is the distance from the CBD. So 0 CBD down to 18 kilometres away. What do you notice about the median capital gain, okay, up until 22? You notice the further you get away from the CBD, the lower it gets. Now, I don't suggest in the CBD so much, but suburbs that are very, very close to it are going to enjoy the higher capital gains, generally speaking. Now, there is a criteria again that I want you to think about. As you go further out from a major CBD, chances are you could get higher yields or higher rents on your property, okay, as to coming into the CBD. But generally speaking, I like to watch that capital gain happen, and I do my best to have cash flow neutral or cash flow positive properties. All right. Again, let me know down below if this is interesting and making sense. Just let me know. Appreciate it. Next one. Whatever you do, make sure you know that you're not going to get built out if you invest in an apartment. Make sure, or at least that you're educated. You take into account the price of the investment if there is a possibility that you could get built out and lose your view. You do not want to be like this poor dude or dudette that said, oh, I'll buy my nice little house, and then have a huge high-rise block your view out. We see it many times in this business. Now, one last thought for you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is where the fear factor comes in. You don't want to be speaking to your family 10 years from now and go, oh, look at the price of apartments on the Gold Coast. Look at the price of apartments in Brisbane. If only I bought 10 years ago, I would have been set. Yeah, I get it, all right? But, ladies and gentlemen, again, for you to succeed and grow your wealth, you need to be in the game, okay? There are no guarantees in life apart from death and taxes. We know that. But what I do know is if that you don't give it a go, you're not going to see the rewards that can happen when you just, take that first step and start to set yourself up for that financial security that you're looking for. So, if you would like any help, here's my massive call to action for you. Reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about any ideas that you're considering. And hopefully I may be able to share some wisdom and point you in the right direction, helping you find that property that you're looking for. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you learned something. A quick recap. Don't let that four-letter word prevent you from making educated decisions. Make sure that you're very wary of advice, especially free advice coming from friends and family. You should only talk with experts. And have a system that you follow, a criteria before you decide to invest in any property. All right, till next time, ladies and gentlemen, bye for now.